Hello and welcome to today's European SharePoint webinar. My name is Declan and I'm delighted to be joined by Jasper Oosterveld, who will be talking to you about external collaboration with SharePoint Online and Yammer. Remember to join in the conversation about today's webinar on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @EuropeanSP and our hashtag is ESPC14. Thank you to everyone for joining us today for this webinar. If you're joining us today, you're more than likely interested in Yammer. So here's a webinar recording from Christian Buckley on tips and tricks for a Yammer power user that might also be of interest to you. To access this recording, go to bit.ly/Yammer tips. After the webinar, we will have questions. Type any questions you have for Jasper in the question pane in the control panel. Some questions will be selected and answered at the end of the presentation. This webinar is being recorded and you will be notified by email when it is available. And now I'm going to pass over to our webinar presenter, Jasper Oosterveld. Hello, Jasper.
How are you?
Hi, Jasper.
I should have. Hi, yeah, hi. Takes a little. Oh, here we go. How are you today?
Slight delay. Good.
Yeah. Great. Okay, well, let's start. Let's open up my presentation. Okay, well, thanks all for listening in today. I'm going to talk about external collaboration with SharePoint Online and Yammer. Before I start, I'd like to do a quick introduction about myself. As you can see, this is my daughter Flora and my wife Katie. As you can see, Flora's very happy. She's always smiling, so that's very good. It's very. We think we're very lucky. Could have been a lot worse. So, as you can see, she's very cute as well. We also have a dog called Millie, and this is what she basically does the whole day. She's actually sleeping next to me now as well. She's snoring for a little bit, so I had to give her a little push to stop doing that because it can get very loud. But I think she has a great life, so it makes me very jealous at times. And all of us live in Amsterdam. In Europe, it's a great city, one of the best cities in the world. So if you're ever around, you should definitely stop by and do a lot of sightseeing, walking, and all the other things you've probably heard of. It's a great place to be. A little bit about myself. Work-wise, I work for a SharePoint Office 365 company called Spark in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. I'm a SharePoint MVP, and I co-founded the SharePoint Business User Group Netherlands and SPCNL, and those are both Dutch. One is a Dutch user group, the other one is a Dutch site. So if you're Dutch and listening, or maybe Belgium, you're happy to visit the site or join the user group, of course, and otherwise I think it's probably kind of gibberish for you because you have no idea what it says, but otherwise please join us. And I have some contact details, of course, and this slide deck will also be available online, and the people of European SharePoint Conference will also distribute this, so don't worry, you can always look it up later, but don't hesitate to contact me through email or connect with me on any of the social networks. And of course, questions. With the webinar, it's just a little bit easier to do this at the end. So if you have any questions, I think you can already ask them in between, of course, and Declan will save them up until the end. If we can't get through all the questions, Declan will email them to me, and I will answer them after the webinar, and they'll be online later in the week. And if you don't want to ask a question through this medium, just send me an email. It's, of course, no problem at all. Now let's start. First, I would like to talk a little bit about how you share and collaborate with personal documents. I think we all have these documents. Most of the times they'll probably be stored in our My Documents or a personal file share. Maybe just a little bit think about the current situation. If you want to share these kind of documents, or these personal documents stored within your My Documents or your personal file share, it's very frustrating because first of all, there's not really any mobile support if you think about it. Like everybody these days has a smartphone, right, or a tablet. A lot of people work with tablets these days. It's not very easy to actually connect with these files if they're stored on your My Documents or your personal file share. For myself, I don't really know any easy way to do this with your iPad, for example. Maybe it's a bit easier with a Surface tablet, but it's not as easy as using your desktop or your laptop. And let's say you want to collaborate. Let's say you want to share one of these documents with a colleague or maybe somebody outside of your business. You have to use email. Well, and again, like emails, it's getting a little bit old-fashioned, right, these days, especially at the collaboration aspect. And yeah, you just don't want to send around emails with attachments. For example, if you use presentations, they can be up to 25, 30 megabits. We use a lot of pictures. And that's something you don't want to keep sending over email. So I think there's a good solution for this, or some, at least like a feature that can definitely help you out, and that's OneDrive for Business. First of all, you get 1 terabyte of storage to store all your personal documents. I've been saying this for a while now. I still think this is a crazy amount of storage. Please, if you really need 1 terabyte, contact me. I want to talk to you because I'm very intrigued of what you're going to store there. If this is your personal video files from your holidays, don't contact me because I can imagine you can get a fool with that as well. But it's a lot. But I think it's nice if it can keep you going. And then, secondly, this is nice actually. These days you can acquire it as a standalone subscription. In the beginning, before the 1st of April, you had to acquire SharePoint Online licenses to actually use OneDrive for Business, and now you can just acquire it as a subscription itself. So you can just get a license for that instead of getting also SharePoint Online license that you actually only need to build a SharePoint Online portal. So it can be a good start. Just start with OneDrive for Business. Do you like it? Do you want to do more with SharePoint? Just acquire those licenses as well. I believe it's very cheap. I think it's like $2, probably €2 for all the features you get in 1 terabyte of storage. So it's pretty reasonable. You also get Office Online, and it basically means you can create or edit and view Office documents within the browser. In my experience, this is a bit faster than opening it up in the local Office client. And it's especially nice with the sharing aspect. So if you share a document with somebody outside of the company, they get a link, and that link opens up in the browser by default. And it's very fast. And if you give them the edit permissions, they can really start editing the document. And from experience, that works very well. And I talked a little bit about mobile. I said that it's a downside of having these files in your My Documents folder, but this is different for OneDrive for Business because there are apps out there. There are apps for the Surface tablet and for iOS and for Android, and it basically means you can connect with these documents you've stored here wherever you are. For example, you're on your way to work, you're sitting in the train, you can still work on a proposal you got stored there, or maybe you're in the airport or somewhere else. At least you can connect. So you're always online. You can always. It really increases the productivity because you can just keep working. Maybe that's also a downside, but let's imagine that's a good thing. I've said this is an advantage to some people with a presentation. I think it was like a month ago. A couple of people gave me a look like, I don't want to work all the time. So let's just imagine it's a good thing for now. No, and it's also integrated with Yammer, and that basically means you can share a link to a document to the Yammer network, so the company network with the Yammer, or you share the document within a group. For example, you're working on a sales proposal and you want to share it into the Yammer sales group. That's possible. Be sure though that those people have access to the document because they will see the link and then they can click on it, but they'll get an error message saying they don't have any permissions. And it's easy to share these documents, and I think that's very important. I think this is kind of how you prevent downloading it and putting in an attachment and emailing it. You can easily share it. You type in the person's name, you type a little message, and you click on share, and that person will receive an email with a link, and something I'll show you later as well. What is it? It's very nice, and they can open it up, and you can actually work together within a document. So you have that co-authoring aspect, and I think that's very, very efficient. There are a couple of challenges, though. So I'm not going to show OneDrive for Business today because I think most people here have seen it. And looking at my scenario, there's not really any new features for it, basically. That's what it comes down to. So I'm skipping the demo for this, but I'll do a demo about the external collaboration with projects. But for now, I'll skip this. Although I really like OneDrive for Business, there are definitely some challenges out there. And one of these is auditing. And with auditing, I mean, at the moment, as an admin, you can't really see what documents are being shared and with whom. And maybe internally this is fine, because documents aren't shared outside of the business. But let's say you enable that feature, you allow your end users to share documents with people outside of your company. Yeah, by accident maybe, or even on purpose, they can maybe share documents with sensitive content, for example, strategies or financial documents. This is something you kind of want to prevent, or at least be able to monitor. At the moment, that's not possible. You have the e-discovery, the record management features, e-discovery features. So you can do a query based on a word, for example, a financial strategy, and you will be able to see which people have this document within their OneDrive, but it's not really, I don't find it that easy to use, especially for less techy people. So this is something that definitely Microsoft has to work on, and I believe they are. I just haven't seen any news about it, but just keep this in mind. You can enable people to share externally, but just be warned, you really have to go as an admin to every person's personal site to see, okay, these are the documents who was shared with. So again, it's fine with 10 people, but if you have 1,000 people in your business, not so easy. I think everybody knows here you can connect OneDrive for Business with your Explorer. So that means you have your files also available offline, for example, to your laptop or your desktop. And you can drag and drop files in there instead of going to the browser and click on upload and upload the document. This is great, but it's not possible because this is all done by a sync tool. I think it's still called groove.exe, so then you can imagine how old it is. It's not possible to deploy this centrally. So, for example, include it into policy. So let's say somebody starts at this computer, logs in, and it's installed by default because the person is in a certain AD group and the software is being installed. It's like how most businesses do with a lot of software. It's not possible for this sync tool. So that basically means you have to do it manually or allow end users to install it themselves. Yeah, not really great either way. Again, it's fine if you work with 20 people, 50 people, some of your IT can walk by, but if hundreds of people, you don't really want to go to every person and install it yourself or give everybody admin permissions, because that basically means they can also change system settings or install other software. Okay, let's say you tell your users, you know what, you get OneDrive for Business, we're getting rid of your personal file shares, start migrating everything to OneDrive. Okay, that's fine. But you have to realize that a lot of users use certain characters, ampersand or a couple other ones, that are not allowed within SharePoint. And I believe it's not even a SharePoint problem. I think it's like a browser problem. But you will get what happens is you will upload 100 documents. Let's say 25 has illegal characters. It will start uploading, and after it's done, then the system will tell you, okay, well, these 100 files have been done, but not these 25. It means you have to go through the list you just migrated, get rid of the files that worked, and then change the file names, and then do it again. It's very time-consuming, and it will be very frustrating for end users because they expect it just to work. So I included a link in this presentation. It's in the resources section to a blog by Bill Baer, who explains workarounds for it or solutions for it, but also tells you what characters are illegal. So definitely can advise you to take a look at it. And last but not least, this 1 terabyte is brilliant. But if you connect with your Explorer, that basically means these files are stored locally as well. And there's, of course, this 20,000 document limit that you can sync. But let's just imagine you have 20,000 documents, and they add up to, well, probably not going to have, let's say they add up to 250 gigabytes. And that's quite a lot, right? It basically means you need to have that as storage in a local hard drive. Well, I'm not sure every end user will have so much storage in their personal hard drive. Especially, I think laptops are fine probably, but desktops, maybe not so much. So that's something to keep in mind. There are some new features coming soon or already available. Unfortunately, not in my tenant, so I cannot show you. This is Smart Search. I don't think this is officially released yet. That should be released within a couple months. This basically means when you start typing, you get, how do you say it? Yeah, suggestions. So I started typing PRO, and it looks for results related to that search query. It looks within your OneDrive or documents that are shared with you or sites that you're following. So I think it's very helpful, especially if businesses really decide or you decide to get rid of these My Documents folders and let people upload all the documents. It will probably be a lot, so it needs to be easy for them to find these documents. This feature is released, and it basically means you get a conversation view from Yammer with every Office document, and I think that's very nice because it basically means you can really do a review on a document. So let's say I'm working on this proposal, I share it on Yammer, I can really get this conversation view on the right, and people can leave messages and can even edit the document if they want to. It's a very, very nice feature. At the moment, this is the URL to OneDrive for Business, not so friendly. It's pretty long, hard to remember, and it's especially for the OneDrive. I mean the OneDrive. Now, for Android devices, you don't have a OneDrive app yet, but you have Office Mobile. You still can connect to OneDrive, but you need a URL. Well, this one is the one you have to use. So it can be difficult to remember. So This one is definitely easier, and this is what it should become. That's at least what they've announced on their website, and so it'll be control, so it'll be your company name, .onedrive.com, so very easy to remember. So let's continue to the next scenario, and that's project collaboration. I think a lot of people here work on projects, maybe just internally, but also probably with people outside of their business. That's what I do, at least. We help customers implementing SharePoint. So what do you want to do? You want to share documents with these customers, share information, maybe have a central place where you want to store meetings. Well, at the moment, this can be very frustrating, at least if you're not using the scenario I'm going to describe you, because what will happen is you probably have to send a lot of emails or receive a lot of emails. And what kind of emails? Well, for example, emails with documents. Documents being sent around for proposals or designs or other project-related documents, and emails with questions like, oh, when is our next meeting, or what did we agree on, or emails with meeting requests. Oh, we have a project meeting next Wednesday. So eventually this, you really have to organize your Outlook well, otherwise your information will get lost. You won't be able to find everything anymore, and it can cause a lot of problems. Yeah, so is there, like, if you use this way, is there any document collaboration? And not really, right? Because you have to email again. It's the same with just working with personal documents. I have to send my proposal to a customer, and he or she maybe sends it to a couple other people, and maybe I'll get 5 versions back, and I have to go over them, combine them into one. It will take me up so much time, and I'll probably make some mistakes along the way as well. So I think there's really a good solution for this. A solution we also use internally within Spark, so it works very well, so I can recommend it to you as well. And that's basically a combination between SharePoint and Yammer. And why should you choose for SharePoint Online? Well, first of all, you can deploy it very quickly. You don't need a local server for SharePoint to install SharePoint. You don't. The only thing you have to do is you have to get an Office 365 membership. And you acquire licenses for SharePoint Online. You can basically you can immediately start. And you don't need licenses for external users. So if you want to invite your customer or your partner or your supplier within this project site, within SharePoint Online, you don't need to acquire a license for it. You can basically invite them for free. And this does depend on your subscription. All the subscriptions have this enabled. It's also in the resource slides, so take a look at it later. But most of them have a limit of 10,000 people. That's quite a lot, but that is the amount of people you can just invite without paying for it. And of course, they don't have all the features like a licensed user has, but for this scenario, it's enough because they can view documents, edit these, and just collaborate within this within the project. And then what does this come down to? Your costs will go down because you don't need a local infrastructure. That means you don't need a SharePoint server. You don't need to acquire licenses for it. You need to hire people to maintain it. No, this is all done by Microsoft. You just get a license. Everything is up and running, and you don't need extra licenses for the external users. So what do? We'll use a project site with SharePoint Online. And I'll name a couple of features here. For most of you, they will sound familiar, but I think it's still a good thing to take a look at it because it can really benefit you within this scenario. You can use a task list to assign tasks to project members, internally, externally. What I also like to use it for is for mentioning the project kickoff and the deadline. And you can use these 2 tasks within your timeline. So your timeline is a central overview of important tasks you want to immediately display on the home page of this project site. So not only end users will see it, but also not only project members will see it, but also people who maybe visit the site, other employees. They can maybe see, okay, wait a minute, these are important tasks that are coming up. Maybe you have some information in them that can help them out. So this is really stimulates the sharing of knowledge and like internal collaboration. Then we have a notebook, and I love OneNote. I think OneNote is a great tool. It's a great tool for you to keep your personal notes, but also in this case, of your project notes. And what's so great is this project site comes with a dedicated notebook. And you can actually open this notebook within your OneNote, so you always have it available on your laptop, maybe also on other devices. So it doesn't matter where you are. You can read up on project notes or even add notes. You have a calendar. Sorry, this basically means you have a central calendar for this project. So you don't have to, in theory, you don't have to use Outlook anymore. You can create your project meetings here and people can connect this calendar to Outlook, and so they always have it available within Outlook and even offline. And you have Yammer. Yeah? You have a Yammer feed. So what you can do, you can, this is what I'll show you today as well, you can create a network for your projects, and then what I advise to do is to create a group, a Yammer group per project, and you can connect the Yammer group with a Yammer web part and show this within the project site. So that means they don't have to go to Yammer in a separate browser or a separate tab within the browser. Just go to Yammer. They can immediately do it from within SharePoint project site. The document library is also not new, of course, but it's a great way to centrally store your project documents. Or maybe you start even to work with document templates. So you, for example, you create a calculation sheet immediately from within the project document library or design or any other type of document. And last but not least, it's so easy to share and collaborate with external people. It's just like OneDrive. You share a document and people can open it up and can immediately start working in it. And why should you use Yammer? Well, first of all, it's so easy to use, and easy to use even for non-technical people, because it's such a familiar interface for people used to using Facebook or Twitter or maybe even LinkedIn. It's all the kind of same features, right? It's mentioning people, using hashtags, liking. So people don't really need an extensive training to use Yammer. It's very intuitive. And you have apps. You have a Yammer app for every device, smartphone, tablet. That means you can always stay connected no matter where you are. Again, let's say you're on the airport or you're on your way to work. You can just see, hey, what's going on in Yammer? Are people asking any questions related to the project? Maybe I can help people. Maybe even I have a question. And last but not least, you can also invite external people within this Yammer network. And it has to be an external network, though, because by default, Yammer comes with your company network, but it's not possible to invite people there. But you can create an external network, and there you can invite people who are part of the project. So your external project members, your customer, your supplier, or your partner. Now, some features. You can create an external network, what I just talked about. This is a great feature. It sounds, like I just kind of said, using email is a bit old-fashioned, but I have to admit, I still kind of like to use it for this, though. You can get a notification when somebody replies within Yammer to your question, and then I can reply to that notification. So I don't have to go to Yammer. I can just reply in an email. And I use this a lot, actually, because I have my Hotmail account for a lot of external Yammer networks. So, for community stuff, and there are like 6 or 7, and it's so much easier to use this feature instead of going to the browser and going to other networks. And this is also a good one. Let's say you have a Yammer group for a project, and it's a private group, so not everybody's allowed to see it. But let's say you have a question for somebody who's not necessarily part of this group, but he or she knows, for sure, he or she knows the answer to the question. You can invite him or her just within a conversation. So they have permission to see the conversation, but not the rest of the Yammer group. I think that's a really great feature. Well, before I jump into the demo, I do want you to, before you do as well, you're like, oh man, this is awesome, I just want to start, you have to wait a minute. Because I really think there's a fine line between the success or failure of a SharePoint implementation, for example, in this case, this external collaboration, this extranet scenario. Because it's so tempting to just immediately start, especially with SharePoint Online, because you don't have to install a server for it. It's immediately up and running. But I really want you to think about governance in this way. And maybe some people are getting bored by this, but I still think it's very important. And why? Well, before I tell you why, I think it's good to know the definition of governance. So you probably already read it here, but it's a very clear definition. It's a long one, but it basically says it's a set of policies, roles, responsibilities, and processes that control how an organization, business divisions, and IT team works. See how long it is? And IT teams work together to achieve its goals. Well, it's very clear. Really, I think most people will see this like, yeah, okay, I get it, but why should I use it? Why? Well, let's think about this for a second. We already have governance in our daily lives. It doesn't matter where you're from. We have traffic, right? And we created traffic rules. And you can kind of see that as governance because we made procedures. We created rules. We said, okay, you know what? If this light is green, you can walk. It's safe to walk. Well, at least it should be safe to walk. Or you can drive. It's fine. And if it's red, no, you have to stop because then other people are allowed to go. Wait, okay, this is the speed limit. You cannot go 50 miles an hour. No, you're only allowed to go 15. And if you do go over that and you get caught, you get a fine or maybe even lose your driver's license. And then the last one is a stop sign. Oh, wait a minute, you have to stop because then check, are people allowed to go? Yes, then it's up to me. Well, let's just compare this with this situation. Let's say we skip this. Because this is what we basically do, right? We don't give people a car. We say if you're 16 or 18, doesn't matter, depending where you're from, well, you have to learn. You have to learn how to use a car. You have to learn the traffic rules. Because if you don't do that, this is what will happen, right? It will turn into chaos. And I find it always amazing that people just give people access to SharePoint without telling them anything, without training them. Like they just think like, oh, okay, well, it'll be fine. It will work out. Well, it doesn't, because just think about this. This is chaos too. We have to learn, right? Of course, we weren't the greatest drivers maybe in the beginning, but we learned along the way. But at least somebody taught us. These are the rules. This is how everything works. And I really believe you should do this for SharePoint as well. So I'll try to go over this quickly. I think these are two important topics: information architecture and security. This is the site structure I advise. Create a site collection for every customer you have. For in this case, Fabric and Project Portal, and create a subsite, so project site. So you create a subsite per project. So over here we have mobile experience, sales and marketing collaboration, and Internet Portal 2014. Because let's say you all put this into one site collection. There's going to be one person, probably by accident, who gives customer A accidentally access to customer B's site. That's something you want to prevent, right? Maybe there's some sensitive information. And if you put this into separate site collections, I think it's okay if by accident John from Fabricam sees Internet Portal 2014, even if he's not part of that project. Then think about document management. I'm not going to go into depth about this, but these are the options, right? Folders, metadata, taxonomy, document sets. Make a decision. There's nothing more frustrating than having 5 project sites where one has folders, the other one has metadata, the other one has a taxonomy, the other one has a document set. It will drive you insane, especially your end users. Make it clear. Okay, we're going to use metadata, a custom column, a couple custom columns. Okay, we're going to use a document set. Either way, what works for your business, but stay with one. And so people know how it works, and it's easy for them to use. Okay, external sharing. You have to enable this. You have to enable this within your Office 365 tenant. And then you have to make a decision. I'm going to allow anonymous links. So it basically means you create a link to a document that anybody in the world can see if they have that link. So you have to choose between one of these. Then, if you want to have your content also more secured when it's offline, because basically people with read permissions can download a document. And you have no control over the document that happens when it's out of SharePoint. But by using Azure Rights Management, you can do that. You can protect it so you can make sure people, for example, don't copy the content. This is something you have to acquire as a separate license, though. And there's also some links to this within the resources slide. SharePoint groups. I always say create. Great, you automatically get your site collection owners. Make sure somebody is there with IT, well, not actually IT experience, but he or she knows what the impact is of having their role. So I put IT here, but it can also be a project manager if he or she really knows what they're doing. Then you have your project site for mobile experience. You have your owners group. Put the project leader in there. Then you have the members group. These are all the internal project members. So let's say I work for Contoso. This is me. These are all the Contoso employees. Then you create a group for the external members, so the people you invite to the project site. So you know where to go. So you go to this group and you see, okay, these 5 people have access. Instead of them being spread around, having permissions to the document and to the library, keep it into one group. And then have one central group. So just have one visitors group per site collection where you add all your employees. Because it basically means that everybody has access to all the project sites. So there's always somebody who can help you with your project, who has valuable information. Don't keep it closed. Well, this is what you think, right? Somebody would never lose a mobile phone. But it happens. Or you can also insert tablet here. Let's say you have these documents on your tablet. What happens if it's gone? That information is on the street. So you have to think about software for your tablet or your mobile phone. So in case people do lose it, you may be able to swipe it. Right? Think about this. It's going to be can prevent a lot of problems. So let's finally do a demo. So I go out of here. So what I will do, I'll start this one up. And this is just an example site collection for Fabricam. This is how you can configure it. So you can do a title, you can do a description. Here you have a Yammer feed. You'll probably see now that this has nothing to do with Fabric and Project Portal. For some reason, this Yammer web part is getting worse by day. I have no idea why. So if somebody from Microsoft is listening in, tell me what's going on. Because what I want here is to connect it to the Fabric external network. For some reason, it doesn't work. Add an account manager here, for example. You can make it clickable, open in this case, the guy's email profile. Add some general documents here, for example, support contracts. And then what we can do now, you already see a project site here, you can create a new one. So we'll go to site contents. We'll click new subsite. Well, in my case, I haven't created a template. This is, of course, something you can do. Create a standard project site and save it as a template, so you're able to select it here. Well, for now, we'll just use the default one, and we'll call this XT1500 launch. Launch event. I'll do the URL here. Launch event. Yeah. Click project site. Okay. Unique permissions. Okay. Well, I'll leave this. This is fine for now. You can always change it later. Click and create. And now the site is being created. And I hope it goes very quickly. Come on, SharePoint. You can do it. And here we go. Yeah, sweet. So, as I said, we don't use a separate visitors group. We use an existing one. So click this option. And here we have this one, visitors group. Great. So all the employees from Contoso now have access to this project site. Here I can already add the members, but I like to use a different one option to do that. So I'll just leave this empty. I need to have an owner, so I'll put myself in there and I click on OK. And come on, yeah, click on OK. Sometimes you do it twice. No. What I do now, click on Share. And here I can enter a name. And unfortunately, they're already in there. So let's say I just do this. I invite Janet. And I can type a message here. Hi, Janet. You're now part of the project. Show options, and here I can select a group. So I click on Share. And now Janet will receive an email, so you'll be able to participate within this site. So what I want to do now is create a special group for these external members. So I'll go to I'll go to people and groups. I can do it through site permissions, of course, but I'll just do it like this. Here we go. Click on groups. Click on new. Click on this one. Now I'll give it a name. I'll give it XT1500 launch event, and we say external members. We can give it a description here. You can give it an owner. I'll just leave it on a default for now, but of course you can select the other group, the owners group. For now, this is okay. And we'll say these people have, let's say, contribute permissions. You can also give them read permissions. That's totally up to you. And now it's being created. So what we'll do now, we'll go back to the site settings, because I'll go here, site permissions. What I want to do, I want people to be able to share documents, but I want to have a bit more control over it. So by basically ticking this one, I think also this one, what happens is if somebody else, for example, Sarah, who's part of the project, shares a document, I will get an email. So let's click on OK. And after this, something works from here. So go back to browse, go back to the site. What we can do now, we can configure the project site a little bit. So if I go here and add a page, I'll get rid of a couple things. I'll get rid of this one. Delete. OK. And I'll move this one down. Yeah, I'll get rid of the site feed because we want to use Yammer. Yeah. And here we can add, for example, the agenda. Here we go, calendar. Click on add. Yeah. Well, here we can maybe want to have like an introduction text about the project. So we'll click on here. We'll go to media and content editor. That's great. And Here we go, and we can say, welcome to the XT1500 launch event project. Please contact Garth in case of any questions. You can type some more descriptive text here, of course. We'll just do it now like this. And see what else we need. We'll do the Yammer pep part as well, but first I have to save, stop editing. And it'll probably, here it has content editor, so I'll remove this in a second. What I'll do now, let's go to site contents. I will create the Yammer web part, so I'll do add an app. I'll click on here. I'll click trusted. Now we'll be adding the web part. Yeah. So what I'll do now, I'll go back to home, and I'll get rid of this. Click on that wheel, edit page, and then hopefully when this is done, I can add the Yammer web part. So here we go. Add web part. And I'll go to appearance and do none. Click on OK. Now hopefully we can add the web part now. And I'm going to be warning you, it's probably not going to work because I have no idea what's going on with the web part, but I'm going to give it a go anyway. Yammer feed, click on add. And it's adding. Here we go. I'll move up documents now. We'll go over this in a second. You have to go up. Come on. No, it doesn't want to go up. So let me see if this one wants to go down. One more time. Otherwise it's fine. Well, it's fine for now. Stop editing. Okay, now quickly, let's go take a look at OneNote. So go here, browse. So here you have the notebook. I love this part. This is awesome. We use this internally as well. It's very easy. So now it's setting it up. So what I basically do is create a new section for meetings. Now I should be able to rename this one. No, that's fine. So meetings, and what I do then, let's say we have a meeting tomorrow it's the 17th, I do the 17th, type in the date. Nope. And people can just basically enter the notes here and do it for other meetings as well. So you can always at a later stage look back, okay, what did we discuss this day? Or you create a section for the to-do list. What are we going to do? What do we have? Phase 1. What do we have to work on? Now, you gotta get the gist, right? Or you can create one for requirements, or maybe give every project member their own personal section where they can add their own notes. And you can always go to File and open in OneNote, and we'll open up in your local OneNote client. It's awesome. So you always have it available. Really use it. This is a great feature that can really help you. So now let's go. Close it up. Here we go. Yeah, it's a hot day here, so it's kind of struggling. So what I'll do now, I'll create a couple of tasks. So to keep this going, click on, I don't like this one. I like to do it like this. So I'll just create 3 tasks. I'll do the kickoff, project kickoff. I'll say that's today. No, not just, no, it doesn't matter. Let's do today. Do that today, and here I can type in all the people who have to be part of it. Sarah, Alex. Type all the project members. Here we go. Click on save. And we'll do another one. Do a deadline. So this is deadline, and this is when the project has to be done. Still in 2 months from now. I can do it like this. I'll do 9. Yep. And home. I'll do 9. And you can assign people a year. So click on save. Yeah. And one more, okay, to do something in the middle. Otherwise it's kind of boring. It's just going to be here and there and there. We'll do, let's say, we want to have to sign up Expo booth for this launch event. And we'll say, well, this is going to take up a couple of weeks for Sarah to get that done. So she will start that Monday. And we'll give her 3 weeks to do this. So let's do 28th, 11th. Go away. I'll assign it to Sarah. Just imagine I typed in Sarah. See if I did. Yeah, I did. Great. So now, you see it's not yet added to the timeline, so I have to do that manually. So click here, add to timeline. add to timeline, and then click on here, and I'll say you can kind of make it. You can kind of, how do you say it? Yeah, configure it a little bit. So click on start to finish. This looks nice, right? I can also let's just do one more. I'll say prepare presentation, and let's do that somewhere the 13th. Oh yeah, let's just do the 8th. No, let's August 16th. Yeah, let's do for 3 days. No, I don't have to sign it. So I just want to see you to show you a couple more options you have. So here we go. We'll say add to timeline. And now you can see, you can always display it as a bar, but you can also do it as a call out. It's kind of nice. And you see, you can just change it around. So you decide the location. So let's go back to home. Now, what I'll do now, I will now go back to Yammer. I will go to Yammer. I haven't opened yet. Here we go. And then it should work. Yeah, here we go. So this is the network. So this will be a company network. No thanks. And what you can do here, I've already done it before, but you can, if you click on network, if you click on network, what should happen here, my internet is so slow today. It should happen here. You see you have an external network. That's what you get when you double click. Come on, here you go. So you can create a new network. I won't do, but here you can say, okay, create an external network, give the name, image, description, open or close, it's up to you, and are your colleagues able to join? And I've done this before, so I created one for Fabrica, but this is how you set it up for other customers as well. What we'll do here, we'll create a group for the project, and we'll give it, what do we call it? Yeah, the XT1500. It's one word, no? Launch event. And here you can invite the, oh, sorry. Go away. Here we can invite all the people. I don't invite myself. Sarah can make it public or private. Just leave it for public now. That's okay. Click on create group. And what we should be able to do now, here you see the group ID. So we need this for this web part. If it works, probably not going to work. But if we go here, you see a couple options. We need a group feed. This is the ID. We'll copy the whole network, see if it works. Here we go. Okay. Well, time to go. Yeah. No, see, for some reason it does this. It already should give you an option. It should recognize that you're Garv and that you have two networks. So, yeah, unfortunately it doesn't work at the moment. If you do want to use it, please create a service request with Microsoft, because it really should just work. So the last part I want to show you, so let's go to this site as Sarah. No, this tab. So let's refresh. And let's go to the project site. So let's say I'm Sarah and I've been working on this presentation. So I'll go to the document library. And okay, I don't think I have the right permission, so I'll quickly, thought I shared it with Sarah though. So I'll go here, I'll do Sarah, and I'll add it to the group. So add it to the owners group, it's okay. Yeah, this one, click on share. Okay, refresh. Here we go, upload. And now get to the file. I should have it ready on the desktop. Don't look at the mess. Demo, clean it up still. Legal, or let's say I'm working on this presentation, and I want to share this one with an external person. And I want this person is called Peter Ellison, and I want Peter to review this presentation. So I'll select it, click on share. And now it's always hoping it works. So here I type that person's name, Peter Ellison. I'm saying, hi Peter, could you please review the slides? Thanks. Here you see how we give an email, and he has to sign in, and he has edit permissions. So click on share. Okay, now too bad. This is probably because I made him an owner. What happens normally is, and we're kind of running out of time as well, but what happens is I have to get permissions. So, because that's the setting I said. Well, what happens is it will send an email to Garth. I think there's still an email for this. Let's take a look. No. I'll get an email as Garth, and what happens is I have to approve or decline the request. So if I, let's say, approve the request in this case, Peter will get access to that document. I think I can show you though. Let me show you here, because I tried it yesterday. It's to that other side, mobile experience, so you still get an idea how it works. So let's click on here. It's always good to see than just me talking about it. So now I have to sign in, and I'll sign in with my Gmail account. Gmail.com. And it is possible to just sign in with another account than an Office 365 account or a Live ID. In this case, I have Gmail, so it means I have to, one time I have to connect my Gmail to a Live ID. So basically create a new Live ID that's connected to my Gmail. It's also a little bit of a downside because it's not that easy for some people to set it up. So I do recommend you to create a manual for this, or at least a quick reference card, so you do help your customers out how to quickly do this. But it is kind of a downside, though, of this scenario. Let's just let me log in for now. I typed in the right password. Yeah. Okay, it's loading. Yeah, okay, now you see here, this presentation is loading in Office Online, so that's pretty cool. I'm not going to do it, but now I can edit it if I want to. I can even do it within a browser or a local client. But let's say I exit here. Well, I click here. I click here in Mobile Experience. It means I'll go like here. So it means I go to the site. In this case, I have access to the library, but let's say if I go back to the site itself. Yeah, you get this page. So now I can say, hi, I would like to have access. Click on send request. Yeah. And now, yeah, you can hear, maybe you can hear it, but I can hear it at least. There you see now Peter sends this request. So now I can do accept or decline. And you see, I tried that a little bit. You see Peter, this is just a few seconds ago, so I can click on here. I can start a discussion, so I can send Peter a message, or I can say, you know, this is fine. I'm going to add him to that external members group, say approve. And at this moment, Peter will get access. He will get access to the project site, and he can do, yeah, whatever the permission. Yeah, he's in that group, external members group. If that group has contribute permissions, he can do. He can contribute. He can add documents, change documents, add calendar items. And so that's how it works, and I think that's very cool. So I think I've done everything for this demo. So let me go back to the presentation. But there's some more I wasn't able to show you. You can connect the calendar to Outlook. That's possible. What will happen is the calendar will be available within your Outlook. You can create new meetings from there. And you can open up the task list I use. You can connect it to Microsoft Project. So if this is nice with project leaders. They're still able to use their favorite tool and create tasks within project, and it will automatically synchronize with SharePoint. And of course, you can also work with policies. This means that sites can be automatically deleted after a year, or they get closed after 3 months. So that's something you can use to kind of control the amount of project sites that are created. Well, I said this near the end of the demo. This is a bit of an issue, this connecting, inviting people with a non-Office 365 account or a Live ID. For example, this Gmail. What happens is you click on that link, and yeah, you won't be able to log in. And there's a link where you can create a new Live ID, and there you can say, okay. Instead of creating a new one, you can say, I already have an email address. You type in your Gmail, for example, or your company account, and a new Live ID will be created that's connected to your Gmail or your company name. Well, it's not that easy. What you would expect is that you can go to your Office 365 Admin Center, just like what you do with Link Online, basically saying, I trust these domains, or I trust these users, and they can skip that whole part. So I really hope that's going to be the case one day. For now, please create a short manual that you provide to your customers before you start inviting them. Well, there are some issues. I don't think we need to talk about the web part anymore, because it's really a shame. Because if it does work, it works really well. Because from the project side, I can post new messages or respond to messages. You still store documents in Yammer. Yeah, I think you should be able to turn it off, though, but by default it's not. But it's something you really have to think about, because otherwise, where is people going to store documents? SharePoint or Yammer? Of course, it needs to be SharePoint, but it would be a shame if people, maybe they don't know, maybe it's turned on, still keep uploading documents there. You still have two profiles, right? So I have my Yammer profile and I have my SharePoint profile. I'm not going to maintain two, and other people are not going to do it either. So eventually these will be combined into one, and I believe that's going to be done this year. And last but not least, there's not really a great search integration. Within SharePoint Search is just a link. So if you search for something, there's a link to Yammer, and it executes the same search over there. Well, it will be ideal if you see the Yammer results within SharePoint without going to another browser. Okay, well, thanks for listening in. I hope you liked it, and I hope it kind of inspired you to also set this up within your business and start collaborating like this with your customers. I have some resources. I'll just quickly go to it. No, you can do it. I always take too much time. Declan will give this slide deck to you, and I hope it helps you out as well. And yeah, if it's not, just contact me, and I'll help you out as well. Okay, thanks. Over to you, Declan.
Perfect. Thank you, Jasper.
No problem.
So now we'll just deal with some questions. So firstly, first question here, is it correct that with OneDrive for Business you can't share with external users?
Yeah, you can, but it has to be turned on.
Okay.
Yeah, if you go to the Office 365 Admin Center and to SharePoint Online Admin Center, you can select that there's like I think there's like must help. If you select that one, then you have the sharing button. If you click on there, then you can decide if it's enabled or disabled, enabled, and if it's enabled, if you also allow anonymous links.
Okay. Next question, Jasper. When inviting external users to SharePoint Online, what recommendations do you have to meet? And do you need a live ID account to authenticate?
Yeah, that's what I showed near the end. Well, you can invite people without a live ID or without an Office 365 account, but they have to create a live ID basically and connect that to their current email. So what I will do soon, I'll just create a blog post where I'll show you some screenshots. But that's a one-time thing. So one time I have to create a new live ID, say I already have an email address, for example, Gmail, Yahoo, or your company address. What happens is you fill in some details, your name, all the standard stuff. You'll get an email where you have to enable this account. If I get a link from within this project site, I can click on it and then you can just log in. What I did is on a demo. You can log in with Jasper at wingtoys.com. And then that works, but it is a one-time thing. You have to create a live ID, and I hope that changes in the near future because that's very confusing for people, and some customers are just not going to do it. So what I had happen a couple weeks ago, I still had to email a document because the customer was like, well, I'm not going to do this because it's just too much of a pain.
Okay. Next question. Is it possible to create a customer portal, let's say 100 customers, where everyone has his own documents and lists, but with only one URL?
Let me get back to that one.
Okay.
Let me think about it later. Yeah.
No problem. Another question we have here. In Yammer, if your external users are in different groups, but in the same network, will they see each other? Will they see other groups that they don't have permission to join? This user says here, I don't want this, of course.
They all have access to that external network, so that's where they are. Yeah, that's a great question. I have to try it out. If you set the group on private, if you still see it or not. That's something. I would have to try that out. I'll post it as well. That's a good question, actually. Yeah. Perfect.
I have another question here. We won't get to all the questions, but we'll send out a blog post with the other answers. So this user here asks, Jasper mentioned about using either folders, metadata, taxonomy, or document sets. What does he recommend or is best used for end users?
Well, not folders. No, in most cases, just using custom columns. For example, a category column with a choice, for example, calculation, planning, design, just the choices that belong to your, kind of project, how you work with projects, and let somebody upload a document and pick a category. That's often sufficient. But you could, it's up to you. But I think custom columns, that works more than well.
Okay. And the last question for today, Jasper. In Microsoft's Office 365 roadmap, they mention groups as a feature that they're working on. What will this contain, and what will improve the ability to work with external people?
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't worked with it yet, and there's not much known about it apart from that's what's mentioned in a couple of blogs after the SharePoint conference in Vegas. But I do think it's going to change the way we work with SharePoint and Yammer and Outlook and Link, looking at the group aspect, so collaborating within projects or within teams. So what I saw from the screenshots is that you get a SharePoint site with a document library, you get an agenda, and it's all connected to Yammer. But I haven't worked with it yet, so I cannot say what it contains, what it's going to do. I believe it should be released this year, but no idea when. But what I would advise is keep an eye out on the Office 365 blogs from Microsoft, because they keep posting updates. So I hope eventually they'll post something about that as well. But I'm very intrigued and excited to work with it and see how it impacts this scenario, to see if some stuff does work better.
Okay. Thank you again, Jasper. We're getting loads of great feedback for your presentation. So thank you for taking the time today to present to the European SharePoint community. And of course, thank you to everyone for joining us today for this webinar. The next installment of our webinar series will take place August 14th at 4 p.m. CET, where Eric Ritz will be talking to us about making SharePoint strategic. To register and find out more about this webinar, go to bit.ly/Eric Ritz. Goodbye for now, and I hope to see you all soon.